contents of the article reveal that the leader of the opposition has raised concern about the fact that the cousin of the husband of the Honourable Prime Minister was appointed a commissioner on the Integrity Commission, and of course certain insinuations made in the article. I'm surprised, to say the least, that this matter would be coming now and emanating from Dr. Rowley, given the fact that Dr. Bissessa's appointment as a commissioner to the Integrity Commission took place during the last administration, of which Dr. Rowley himself was a part. As you know, the Integrity Commission, the People's Partnership, has not in fact appointed a new Integrity Commission. The commission, whose tenure is yet to expire, has been appointed under the previous administration. But more than that, it is really alarming to know that this kind of political mischief will take place in light of the publicly disclosed facts about this matter, and given the fact that Dr. Rowley himself was someone at the forefront of the battle against the Integrity Commission. To recap and set the chronological sequence of events in order, perhaps we can start with an article on Tuesday, 20th of April 2009. And that article, which was carried in all the media, was an article whereby it is entitled UNC MP tells President to appoint Integrity Commission or face court action. That is on Tuesday, April 28, 2009. Mrs. Bissessa, in her capacity as a private attorney at law, had in fact written to the Office of the President regarding the then continuing failure and omission to appoint a new Integrity Commission. Her client at the time was the Member of Parliament for Faizabad, Chandra Sharma, and the proposed court action was based on the fact that Section 138(1) of the Constitution mandated that there shall be an Integrity Commission for Trinidad and Tobago, and that one should be there by implication at all times. That was April 20th, 2009. On June 5th, 2009, in another newspaper, there was an article reporting the fact that Mrs. Bissessa had in fact been referred to the Privileges Committee for calling upon the President and writing a pre-action letter to ask that the new Integrity Commission be appointed. A few months later, on Saturday, November 14th, 2009, House Speaker Barry Sinanan, and there was an extensive deliberations about the matter. House Speaker Barry Sinanan, and this was during the former administration's era, noted that the committee had recommended that Bissessa had committed no contempt of the office of President. So she was cleared of any contempt after that matter was referred to the Privileges Committee. The next and perhaps most important date in the sequence of events is the letter from the then leader of the opposition, Mr. Basteu Pandey, with whom the President had consultation on these then appointments. And that letter is dated the 27th of November 2009. I've been in contact with the Secretary to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and the date given for that letter is the 27th of November 2009. At that time when that letter was written and that consultation was held, Mrs. Bissessa, contrary to the insinuation and assertion of the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, was not in fact the Leader of the Opposition. That is a matter of public record, and I mean, quite frankly, it is shameful to know that such a scandalous allegation could be made by the Leader of the Opposition against the Honourable Prime Minister without first checking and seeking to verify what the facts are. But more than that, it took me 3 minutes to research this. By logging on to the Office of the President's website, I was able to download the exact date of Mrs. Bissessa's appointment as Leader of the Opposition, and this year it is on the 25th of February 2010. So the letter from Mr. Pandey, with whom the President held consultation in his capacity as then Leader of the Opposition, that letter was the 27th of November 2009, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa wasn't appointed opposition leader until the following year, on the 25th of February 2010. It was after she was appointed leader of the opposition without any consultation on the 15th of March, the following month, that the Integrity Commission was sworn in. But be that as it may, it is a matter of public record, and Dr. Rowley ought to recall these facts because he himself at the time was at the forefront of the whole brouhaha with the Integrity Commission. So that it was a matter of public record that when Mrs. Prasad Bisesa became leader of the opposition, she in fact voiced public concern and protest at the fact that she was not in fact consulted as leader of the opposition about these appointments. And let me quote from a newspaper article on Tuesday, March 16, 2010. Kamla, Max did not consult me, which appeared in the Newsday newspaper. And the article says that the leader of the opposition, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, was complaining about the fact that she had not been consulted on these appointments, and that essentially, to quote Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, it appears to have been a fait accompli. In that same article, carried on the newspaper Newsday of Tuesday, March 16, 2010, in that same article, where Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was complaining publicly about the fact that she was not consulted on these appointments, had no knowledge about them, and it came, as a surprise to her, the reporter brought these matters to the attention of Dr. Keith Rowley. And Dr. Keith Rowley, who is described as the person who had recently won a lawsuit against the previous Integrity Commission board regarding the Landate affair, he said, well, this is part of the Constitution. It is a constitutional requirement, and it should be in place. Now, that comment from Dr. Rowley in the same article was made in the context of the fact that this matter was a culmination of a series of events that started with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa as a lawyer threatening to sue to get this new Integrity Commission appointed. And the point I believe Dr. Rowley was making is that it is law and a new commission should be in place. But the point is, it comes in the same article that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was vociferously objecting and complaining about the fact that what she inherited was a fait accompli. Now, given these publicly disclosed facts, and I've only been able to get this material from the internet in the space of the last 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm sure the other newspapers and media houses, no doubt, would contain even more information and based on interviews conducted. Given these facts, one has to express great concern about the lack of credibility in statements made and pronouncements made by the leader of the opposition. Because time and again we see statements being made that are baseless and without any foundation or merit. One may recall statements made against myself, the Attorney General, to the effect that I had visited one mission and made statements about the composition of the mission staff. Thank God I'd never even been to New York since I'd been appointed Attorney General. And then they hopped from one mission to the next mission to the next mission. Until today, every single mission that they have accused or insinuated I visited has written back to say I have never been there. But that kind of behavior is unbecoming of a leader of the opposition, because if you aspire to be a leader and you're a leader in waiting, then this kind of scandalous behavior cannot be tolerated. It constitutes a direct and defamatory attack on the Honourable Prime Minister. It comes on the heels of Senator Fitzgerald Hines' latest wild and reckless outburst with respect to the Integrity Commission still investigating the Prime Minister. And one last part in the article, that he went even further than mere political mischief, but transcended into the realm of being malicious. And it had to do with the fact that Dr. Rowley commented on the fact that in her letter to the Integrity Commission, the Prime Minister, he said she requested that a concern be directed to the Commissioner who was dealing with the matter. And he says, I was not aware up until when I saw the correspondence. I was not aware that the individual commissioners acted on matters of this nature and took positions. It is well known that the chairman of the Integrity Commission recused himself from dealing with this matter. And the letter from the Honourable Prime Minister, quite properly, asked that her letter and her concerns be directed to the presiding officer of the Integrity Commission, who is conducting the investigations and who's in charge of those investigations. Obviously, she couldn't say it had to be directed to the chairman, because we all know that the chairman has recused himself and someone else had to fill his shoes. I don't know who that person is. But be that as it may, there is nothing untoward about it, and that fact would have been known to the leader of the opposition. Apart from that, to cast aspersions on Dr. Bisesa and an appointment which was made by his own government, Dr. Rowley really, is transcending the bounds of logic and rationality. Because Dr. Bisesa, when she was appointed, the government was quick to champion the fact that this was a good appointment, given the fact that she has a Doctor of Philosophy in government with a specialization in public administration, and is a senior lecturer. At the time, she was a senior lecturer at the Department of Behavioral Sciences and a research fellow for primary health care in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So I think as a country, we ought to sit up and take notice at this pattern of behavior on the part of the opposition, and I think Dr. Rowley would be well advised, perhaps, to retract his statements and issue a public apology to the Prime Minister for this baseless insinuation that has absolutely no merit whatsoever.